I'm currently solo backpacking Japan, a country that seems to be overrun by tourists at the moment. But what happens when you try to dodge the masses by going to the lesser known and lesser popular spots? Well, I'm about to find out, leaving the tourists in Kyoto and Osaka behind and going all the way to the quiet town of Takayama and the World Heritage village of Shirakawa-go. After that, I'm making my way further up north to Nagano to see the famous snow monkeys. Last but not least, I'm gonna be turning away from peace and quietness by ending up in the biggest city of the world, Tokyo. So let's buckle up and keep exploring Japan.
Righto, made it to Takayama and bus drive was about 4 hours. Takayama is known for a couple of things. They call it Little Kyoto because it has this beautiful little old town that is well preserved from the Edo era. And we're gonna check this out, but before we're even gonna do that, we're going and eat some hira beef, which is a special kind of Wagyu beef that they have here, and Takayama is known to have really good hira beef. So we want to try that out, so let's find the next hira beef store and then have some of that. One beef skewer, one hira beef skewer. Arigatou gozaimasu, thank you. Righto, I've got my hira beef skewer, so let's go for some of the best beef you can find in Japan for a reasonable price. What the hell? Like background, I'm actually not the biggest beef fan, I'm not the biggest steak fan. When people go crazy about steaks and things, I'm like, yeah, I couldn't care less, but oh my god, this is so good. It melts, like you hardly have to chew it. Oh, Jesus Christ, crazy. This is so good. Oh my god. Wow. Ah. Okay, I'm in love. I'm in love. I want to have 10 more of these. Wow. Oh my god, walking through this old town, it is almost annoyingly beautiful and picturesque when you walk through it. Like everything looks like they do nothing else here. They're kind of making sure that everything looks picture perfect and there's nothing wrong with it. Like Japan's super clean anyways, so there is not much of a surprise that it is super clean here too, but everything is just so beautiful, so cute, so picture perfect. And I think if it wasn't for that very, very big kind of swelly brown river, then everything here would be perfect. Like I can imagine that in a different season, when it rains less, this river here, that is probably super nice and super clean and super clear and everything. And then there's literally nothing you can complain about. It just looks like something that comes out of a folk story in a way, this entire place.
I kept exploring Takayama's old town, a place where tradition lives on. Slow, authentic and beautifully untouched. Well, not quite. Plenty of souvenir shops tell you that tourism has also reached Takayama by now. I ended the day with yet another pretty good ramen.
Please observe the following rules to have the World Heritage Village down beautifully forever in future generations.
Another day in Japan and welcome to Shirakawa-go, which is about an hour bus ride from Takayama. And I came here this morning because Shirakawa-go is quite special. The little village here in the mountains is UNESCO World Heritage Site for its super kind of unique and well-preserved traditional way of life, but also for all its very, very unique looking gasho houses, like the one behind me, that you find pretty much only here, only in Shirakawa-go. There's another one there, and these houses are super special. So they have these very steep thatched roofs, and they've been built that way because during the winter period here it snows a lot, so they needed houses that can withstand a lot of snowfall, and these thatched roofs, they can actually do that. And what is also very interesting is all of these houses are pretty much built in the same direction, and that is all to withstand the wind that they have here in winter as well. And I've got a couple of hours here in Shirakawa-go before I need to take the bus back to Takayama, so let's go and explore.
Walking through Shirakawa-go really feels like walking through a time bubble. Sure, despite being not on everyone's bucket list, there are still some tourists, but around 1600 residents still live their lives almost unchanged to when the village was founded some 300 years ago.
Another really cool thing about Shirakawa-go is that it is definitely touristy. Like, I'm not going to say it's not, because there is a whole lot of tourists around, but for what you get, for what it is, it's almost still on like the off the beaten path side of things. And you find the tourists, but you definitely find a quiet spot, just like I did, with a perfect, absolutely picture perfect surrounding like this, and there's no one else around. Since it's World Heritage Site, you can of course not bring your drone to fly it in Shirakawa-go. That is to preserve the houses, that is also to not disturb the people that are living here, and I totally understand that. But I kind of still want to see the town from above, but then conveniently, right up there, there's an observatory. We just have to find the way to go up. You can certainly go up or take a shuttle bus, but we're of course walking because the shuttle bus costs money and we don't want to spend any.
Looking down on the village from the observatory offered the biggest possible contrast to the neon lights of Osaka that I had seen only a few days ago.
So I'm sitting here next to a window in one of those traditional gashu houses, and the cool thing is I'm reading in this little leaflet, and they used to re-thatch the houses or the roofs of the houses every 40 to 50 years, but because the grass changed and other things have changed as well, they're now re-thatching it more often. But what it says is pretty much they do it in one day, so there's like 100, 200 villages. They all gather around one house, and then they kind of jointly re-thatch a house in one day, which is like so cool.
I ended my trip to Shirakawa-go by checking out the massive trouts that live in the tiny canals all around the village, and which are testimony to the incredibly clean water they have here, before rounding it up by having a quick cake in a cafe with the absolute best view. After that, it was time to get back to Takayama.
Right, back in Takayama, took the bus over to here and then just had a quick convenience store lunch, and now there's one more thing that I want to try out if I can, because Takayama, even though it's quite small, it has 4 sake breweries, 4 of them, and I feel like I have to sample some sake if I'm in Takayama and there's so many breweries, right? It would just be a waste to not do it. First, Takayama sake.
Well, obviously nothing much happened after my sake tasting until I got on yet another bus to my next destination.
Another day in Japan, and I came to Nagano. But why am I actually here? To be honest, I don't quite know. So when I was thinking where I would go from Takayama, I thought, Nagano sounds like a cool place. And I booked tickets to here, I booked a hostel to here. And then on the way, I was like, okay, what am I actually going to do in Nagano? And I looked up things to do here. And there isn't all too much. But anyways, there's a couple of things that you can do in Nagano. And one I'm approaching right now, which is this. It's the Senkoji Temple. And I hope I didn't butcher the name. And this is one of the oldest and biggest Buddhist temples that there are in Japan, being built in something like the 7th century. And also it is a Buddhist temple that was built before the different streams of Buddhism in Japan kind of split up. So this temple was built when there was only this one big Buddhism, if you want, like one mainstream Buddhism stream. And we're having a little look inside, and that is pretty much one of Nagano's biggest tourist attractions.
Senkoji Temple is one of Nagano's biggest tourist attractions and one of Japan's oldest temples, founded nearly 1400 years ago. Pilgrims have traveled here for centuries, drawn by its deep spiritual meaning and timeless atmosphere. So I should have known that this place, of course, would be swarmed by tourists as well.
So, location changed pretty suddenly. The main shrine down there at Senkoji Temple was so full, and then there was all the construction noise by the jackhammer and everything, that I said, I don't feel it. I don't actually want to visit it. And then I looked around and I found this little temple on a hillside, and it was kind of far away. And I was like, this is where I want to go. And I got here. Look at it. It's beautiful. It looks so good. We're going to have a look around. But also the best thing is, and this is also why I kind of came here, is this. the view over Nagano. Honestly, it's like the best thing when traveling is finding a place like this where there's no one else for whatever reason. In Taiwan, it was just because there was no one here. In Japan, certainly that doesn't happen all too often. But yeah, now I've found a place like this where there's no one else and I can just sit here, take it all in by myself, and my pace is just the best. I love it. It's really good. Second day in Nagano, and I took a bus this morning to the Snow Monkey Park, and this is where I just arrived. And well, I'm gonna try to find some snow monkeys, and I really hope that I see some today, because the bus ride over here, it is quite spenny. It's 2,000 yen one way, and you're only on the road for like 45 minutes, so that is very spenny. Anyways, we're trying our best to find some of those snow monkeys. It's a 40-minute walk to even just get to the park where you then can find them. So let's do those 40 minutes and then find some snow monkeys. Coming here in late June, which is pretty much the lowest of all low seasons that you can have in Nagano, because this is a ski resort town. There's one good thing coming to the Snow Monkey Park at this time of the year, and that is there's absolutely no tourists around. So on my bus that I took up here, there was 4 other people on there, but of course it's way less pretty and you won't see the typical images of those snow monkeys being in snow and then bathing in the hot springs. But anyways, as long as I see some, I'm already happy. Okay, I'm in the park and I thought it was gonna be kind of a difficult thing to find some of the monkeys, but it's not difficult at all, because literally 10 meters from the park entrance, look at this little guy. So let's kick out some facts about those Japanese macaques or snow monkeys. So they're the most northern living non-human primates to live somewhere, right? And also they're the only ones that live in areas where it snows during winter for like an extended period of time. And this makes them the only non-human primate as well that lives in areas where there's regular and long-lasting snowfall. And also, as they're called Japanese macaques, they're native to Japan. So you would find these kind of macaques only in Japan, but here you find them pretty much everywhere. So the habitat spreads through all of the Japanese 4 main islands and also a couple of the smaller islands. But this place here, the Snow Monkey Park, is probably the best way to actually see them and like the easiest way to actually see them. Yeah, they're just such cool animals. It's really so fun just watching them. Right, time to go back to the bus station through this beautiful forest, doing this beautiful forest path here. Very nice, super quiet. That's just great. So was it worth it? Yes, absolutely. And I think if you're in Japan and you're in the Nagano area in the off season and you're not sure if it's all worth it coming up here because there's no snow and they're called snow monkeys and everything, it's definitely worth it. Don't miss out on it. And I think when you look at some factors, it's even better coming now, because I'm pretty sure that this park is overrun with tourists when it snows, because this is what everyone wants to see. So you get to do all your monkey observation almost on your own. And you can do a lot of photos, and all these things I think would be much more difficult to do when there is a lot of people around. So yeah, don't miss out on the monkey forest, to cut it short. Anyways, enough talking now. Let's enjoy this forest walk and then head back to the bus and then back to Nagano and see if we even do anything today, or if I just spend my time on planning, because I still don't know how to get to Tokyo tomorrow. But I've booked a bus from Tokyo to Osaka in a couple of days and also a hostel in Tokyo, so I better find a way to get there.
And then after 4 hours on this bus, it was time for the big one.
It's another day in Japan and welcome to bloody Tokyo.
I only had planned 2 nights in Tokyo, which was the biggest planning mistake on my Japan trip for sure.
The biggest city in the world, 37 million people live here in the metropolitan area. It's 9 million people in the city itself. Absolutely crazy. I'm in Shinjuku right now at Shinjuku Station. I mean, the station itself is the size of, I don't know, a village somewhere in Germany. And I just kind of try to figure out what I want to do with the day, because I've got a couple of hours to kill until I go to the hostel, because I don't want to waste the time on the public transport going to the hostel. So luckily there's a couple of things here in the area around Shibuya, Shinjuku. There's a couple of things that I want to check out. But the first thing is I've got to sort out my luggage. The first task for today is finding a locker here, like a coin locker or some kind of locker service storage. So yeah, let's go and explore bloody Tokyo, the biggest city in the world.
Please start checking. A receipt is being issued.
Right.
Please be sure to take the receipt. Thank you for using.
Alright, we survived the very first metro experience in Tokyo. It wasn't all that bad, but at the same time it was kind of the least busy time of the day to go on the metro, apart from super late night or something like that. And super late night here means 12, which is where pretty much all the metros stop. Anyways, now it's time for the first bit of sightseeing, and I was like, oh, I definitely want to start with something more quiet, and this is why I came to Meiji Jingu, or Meiji Shrine, which is probably Tokyo's biggest and most common Shinto shrine, and apparently it's super nice. It has a really nice kind of park garden around it, and this is what we're trying out now. So let's go in and check out Meiji Jingu.
Just steps from the city's rush, Meiji Shrine reminds you how deeply nature and tradition still shape Japan. Surrounded by over 100,000 trees, this sacred forest creates a rare pocket of silence and calm in this mega city.
Alright, that was the Meiji Jingu, and now it's time for the biggest possible contrast, because we're going to Shakitika Street, which is just around the corner really from here. It's 15 minutes walk, and it's the birthplace of Japanese cute culture, or kawaii culture. And the Japanese word kawaii kind of translates to something along the lines of cute, adorable, beautiful. It's somewhere in between there, and it pretty much means that you kind of cutify a lot of things. So you'd see a lot of symbols and they kind of look cute. Everything is well-rounded. Everything looks very young and beautiful in a way. And that's just a huge part of Japanese pop culture. And this street, the Takeshita Street, that is pretty much the birthplace of this culture. So we're going over there and get the biggest possible contrast that we could get in a couple of minutes from Meiji Jingu.
Yes, there couldn't be more of a contrast to the Meiji Shrine within 10 minutes of walking. Loud, tacky, and full of odor and piglet cafes. Takeshita Street offers a lot of the craziness that so many people are looking for when booking a trip to Japan.
Alright, that was already pretty busy, but let's max out the social anxiety. And in Tokyo, there's only one place to do that, and that is Shibuya Crossing. There we go. This behind me is Shibuya Crossing. This is the busiest pedestrian crossing in the world. About 2,500 people cross this crossing with every traffic light, and that makes it about 2.5 million people a day that cross over Shibuya Crossing. It's absolutely mental, so let's go and try it out. This is one of those moments, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to Japan. I'm definitely gonna do the bloody Shibuya Crossing once, twice, or maybe 5 times.
I kept walking through Shibuya a little before I had to catch up with some sleep in the hostel. Later that day, I went out with some people from the hostel to explore the iconic bar quarter Golden Guy and of course Shibuya once again at night, before ending the night in a club somewhere in the city center.
Alright, second day of exploring Tokyo, and we start this one off with another bit of culture and history by visiting the Sensoji Temple, which is the most widely visited religious site in the world, with about 30 million people visiting this place every year. And if I turn the camera around, this is not very hard to believe.
Senkoji was another one of these moments when you feel this strange feeling of visiting a place that's supposed to stand for a serene experience, but because of the incredible masses of tourists, none of this serenity is actually to be experienced.
So for the next thing on our list, I'm back in Shinjuku because now I want to take a look on Tokyo from above, from a bit of a bird's eye perspective. And you can do it several ways in Tokyo. You can go to the Skytree, which is the highest observation deck and the tallest building in all of Japan, or you go to the Tokyo Tower. But both of these observation decks, they cost money. And I don't feel like spending it if there is a free option to do it too. And there is in fact a free option. In the Shinjuku government building, there is a free observation deck, and this is where we're going to go now. It's not as high up as the other ones, but because Tokyo doesn't have all too many crazy high skyscrapers, you don't even need to have all that elevation to get a good vantage point to look over Tokyo. So let's find that government building and then have a look on Tokyo.
Looking down on Tokyo was a good end to my way too short time in this incredible city. Despite me doing a few more things that didn't make it into the video, I could only imagine how long it would actually take to thoroughly experience this city. Anyways, I still had loads of other places to explore on my Japan itinerary.
I made it to Kobe on my way all the way down to Fukuoka. Good morning from Himeji, and now I'm going to do the one thing that Himeji is famous for, and that is visiting the Himeji Castle. First of 2 days in Hiroshima, and I didn't waste no time, it actually came out to the Sandakyo Gorge. Oh my god, this is bloody perfect. Hiroshima, like probably no other city in the world, stands as a symbol for the horrors of war. Just coming here and visiting the museum, visiting the park, the memorial hall, it's a lot. It's heavy, but also I think it's really important.